Hi friends, I'm Helen. In this short video, I'm going to show you 3 simple variations of figure 4. So the figure 4 just involves making a 4 with our legs, and we're going to add here for those 3 variations a forward fold or a hinge into the hips. We'll do one posture on our back, one on our seat, and one standing. So the figure 4, all those 3 variations, they are great here to work on hip opening, especially when it comes to the external rotation of the hip. It's a great posture if you have lower back pain or a sciatica, and it's great to stretch as part of a yoga practice, but also if you're a runner or like cycling, and you can integrate those in your stretching routine. Okay, so 3 variations. The first one, a supine version, the one on your back. So if you're doing with me, come lie down on your floor, on the mat. Let's take a moment here to ground the whole spine into the mat and make sure we don't have too much of an arch here in the lower back. So we want to zip navel to the spine and lengthen the spine forward. I'm only going to demonstrate the right side in this video. Whatever you practice on one side, you do the same on the other. So you follow the video and then you do on your own. So right side, right ankle on top of left knee. Let's talk alignment here a little bit. That right foot has to be flexed. That way I'm engaging the external rotation in the hip. So the foot is flexed in a 90-degree angle, but it's also positioned in a way that the sole of the foot is looking to the side. Often I see that foot turning in, and that turn in tells me that my knee is going forward. But let's try to keep that sole of the foot looking to the side and really pressing, engaging that knee without turning the foot. Okay, a simple variation here. If you're already feeling your hips are walking, you can stay there. What you often see or probably practice is that left knee is coming towards your chest. So I'm going to pause here. I like to keep that left shin parallel to the mat. You can lengthen the legs, doesn't really matter here. Try to keep that foot flexed as well. So option here, I press with my left hand into my right ankle and gently with my right hand into my right knee to start to open the knee here. If you're comfortable and that knee stays in place here, you can slide your hand through and start bringing your left knee forward. Just a few words of caution here. Make sure your tailbone doesn't start to rise like I'm doing right now from the mat, because you're losing the hinge into the hips, bringing the fold into your back. So make sure you lengthen the tailbone towards the back of the room. And you can start bringing your knee. My left knee is pressing in, my right knee is pressing towards the front. You can close your eyes, a few slow, steady breath, maybe 5, maybe 10. This is a relatively comfortable position, so maybe 2 minutes here. I like to do this when I watch TV, for example. Makes the shape a little less boring here. Okay, let's release, and you can do the same on your own time on the other side, and I'll show you the next one. Okay. So next variation is a seated variation. So same thing, I make a figure 4 with my legs. Be careful that the right sole of the foot is looking to the side. The foot is flexed, both feet are flexed. The right knee is pressing down towards the mat. Okay, the work here is really into the hips. This is why I'm going to find that hinge and leaning forward, opening the hips. I can bring my hands to the side, a little forward. I don't need much of a fold to really feel the hip opening, but I'm going to be very careful to keep that back elongated and to lengthen the heart space forward, avoiding to round into the upper back. Lengthen the heart space forward. And I can stay there. If that's not so comfortable or you're a little stiff and you're sitting in the back of your sitting bone, you can grab a blanket, you can use a pillow, whatever you have, sit on blocks, and we do the same work. Here my seat is lifted, That's a principle for all forward fold. If I'm a little higher, I can tilt my pelvic floor and come a little more forward into my sitting bones, send the perineum forward, and I'm a little more comfortable here, more length. If this is still a little awkward, you can bend that left leg and make it more of a seated variation and a higher variation. I put my fingers back, open the heart space, same work with that right leg, knee forward. I'm pressing with my ankle towards the chest, and it's basically the same as you were on your back, but you're sitting on the blanket here. Same thing, 5, 10 breaths, maybe 2 minutes if you wish, and release. And same thing on the other side. Okay, the last one, I'm adding a layer of complexity here, adding a balance component to it. We love that shape, we practice it a lot in a yoga class. It may be great if you just finish your run, you don't necessarily want to lie down on the floor. So right side again, right ankle on top of left knee. So here I have my figure 4, and I'm going to hinge into the hips and make it what we call a figure 4 chair. So for you to see the hinge, I'm going to turn around this way actually. I like to keep my fingers here into my hip flexor or just below the hip point. I keep that right foot really flexed. And as I bend that left knee, I'm going to send the tailbone back and sit like I sit on a chair. Imagine you have a chair behind, you're sitting right on the edge. You can bring your hands in prayer position, make it a little more yogic. And I'm lengthening the spine here, and by sending the tailbone and the sit back, I'm finding a nice hinge, a nice opening in the hips. 5 breaths, 8, maybe 10 if you have a good balance, and you're going to rise, release, and do the other side. So 3 variations. You don't have to do all of them. You pick the one that works best for you, the one you feel the most work. Again, think that the hip opening is in the hinge, bending into the hips. Avoid rounding too much into your upper back. So try them, leave me a note below, tell me how it goes. Happy practice.